Our next guest has been called the fastest ventriloquist in the world. Now, what he does is he plays straight man to his other voices. But he's so fast, it's really hard to believe that all of the sounds and the voices you're going to hear come from his very own throat. He is an amazing guy. This is one act that can speak for itself. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Lucas.
Okay. Now, how many of you know what a ventriloquist is? Raise your hand. Anybody? There goes the act. I want to show people who don't know. Watch this. This is what ventriloquism is. Here we go.
I'll get me a home where the buffaloes roam, where the deer and the antelope fly, where selling swords, scourging Lord in the skies, not cloudy all day.
That was my act. Good night.
Hello and welcome to another Website Depot podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Greg Benevent, and today, very lucky to have a real special guest here. We're here with Ron Lucas. Ron, how you doing today there?
Adequate. That's a great answer for our COVID crisis.
Already, this is the most honest of the Website Depot podcasts we've had during the course of the pandemic.
It's become my favorite answer for the past 18 months. Adequate. Adequate is fine. Adequate is surviving.
Right. The fact that we're still having this conversation 11 months
Right.
after this thing has started, it's a tremendous victory. Well,
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're probably got to be probably the best known person coming into this podcast that we've had yet. But if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got here, all that.
If I'm the best one to come into your, if I'm the best one you've done so far, why are you in such deep trouble right now? There's so many much more better people you could be interviewing than me.
Well, again, a lot of our clients are like lawyers in rehab facilities. They're not professional performers.
Oh yeah, and I've used both. You're not gonna roll with that.
I mean, we can. I was kind of hoping you were going to tell us who you actually were, but I can keep running down the company I work for.
I'm in show business, which is chock full of lawyers, and my wife actually co-owned with her siblings a restaurant, which was rented by a rehab facility to use for rehab only. That lasted for a while, and then the guy eventually went to jail because he was secretly selling drugs.
Oh wow!
Talk about a backstory, huh?
Right, and that's like the one. I mean, there's a lot of things you can't do, but that's like the big no. That's like betting on the game you're playing in.
It was pretty big. He was making a fortune. This guy was posing as a doctor, and nobody ever really checked his credentials. And he was making a fortune with rehab houses and rehab places, and he was getting a lot of insurance monies. And meanwhile, he was, shacking up with some of the people that he was supposed to be rehabilitating, and they were just sitting there doing drugs together. He was selling them too. Wow. And now, by the way, the restaurant went back to being a restaurant.
Okay.
And became one of the premier restaurants in Los Angeles called Auburn.
Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar.
And then during the crisis, it had to close. And my wife and her siblings just recently sold it to the investor of Auburn. So we no longer have that property. We just have income coming in. But when you mentioned rehab and attorneys, I thought, okay, that's been my life the past 2 years.
It's just meant to be then. Yes.
Yeah. People think ventriloquists are crazy. We're not. I'm a ventriloquist, by the way. Anybody
okay. I was waiting for that. Yes. Good.
Quick demo. Hi there. What do you think? Hello. Okay. So anyway, so I can talk without moving my lips. I can talk without moving my lips. These are hard to say. I can talk without moving my lips. Well, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. I mean,
that pays the bills.
That's great. I mean, I was thinking even on Zoom where there's always that bit lag. There's always a little bit that still came through completely clear. I mean,
the trouble with the COVID crisis is that, with masks, everybody can be a ventriloquist. It doesn't matter anymore.
I'm laughing because that's terrible. But yeah, that is
true.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Cool. Well, yeah. Well, okay. So you're a ventriloquist. If you could tell us a little bit about your career, some things you've done. I mean, I've certainly researched it. It's a remarkable career you've had. It really is.
It's an audience, right? They answered the ad. Yeah. My God, look at this studio. It looks like the Sistine Chapel designed by Sears. Do you think Her Majesty would mind if I asked a question?
No, you are not going to ask Her Majesty a question.
Why not?
This is very awkward. We're Americans. We don't know very much about British protocol, you see, and it's not proper for a person to address Her Majesty directly.
I'm a puppet. I don't care. Thank you very much. I'm going to do my impression of the President of the United States. Here we go.
I gotta clear my nose. Don't do this. Scorch, come here. No, this isn't funny. Okay, Scorch, go. What was that? Flaming booger? Don't do that.
I think probably, and I actually say this with some pride, I'm probably the most copied ventriloquist out there. If you've ever seen anybody on America's Got Talent, or if you've watched YouTube's, usually their key signature bits is stuff that I've been doing for the past 20 years prior to the internet, and now everybody's ripped me off.
Oh, jeez.
So I've been under a lot of pressure lately to come up with some new materials. And one of the ideas that hit me yesterday was because of the environment we're living in politically, that I wanted to create a puppet that was biodegradable.
Oh, that's a good idea. I can't imagine anyone else has done that.
And during the act, he starts falling apart on me.
Oh, that's good. That's solid.
I think it's a pretty good idea. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is. I mean,
you're my audience of one. So if you like the idea, I'll have to.
Well,
do it.
I mean, and I certainly don't know that much about that kind of thing, but I mean, but that makes so much sense. That's such a. I mean, how you can't be more committed to environmentalism than willing to sacrifice your own limbs in the course of things. That's pretty tight. Like,
yeah. So, yeah, so I was writing humor the other day, and I was just thinking about, what would he have to say? What was his point of view about life? And I'm basically saying, well, you're falling apart on me. Soon you'll be nothing. And he's saying, and you're a human being. What's the difference?
No, unfortunately, during a pandemic, that makes too much sense.
We're all biodegradable, sadly.
Right. Well, I guess that kind of leads into the next question. I was sort of wondering is, how's the pandemic, affected you? I mean, obviously, we're here on the Zoom. You went through this remarkable several Law and Order episodes with this restaurant and the drug rehab. It's how you've been holding up over there.
I said way too much, but don't get my wife started because we'll be here for hours. But what happened was I worked, I had a good career, and I have no complaints. I guess I've always had this kind of thing where I've started at the top and worked my way down. I literally, right out of in my 20s, I went to comedy clubs in San Francisco. I won a comedy competition in 1981, and it was the first time it was televised for Showtime.
Oh, wow.
And then they decided to have a national comedy competition. So I went to New York and competed against, really seriously unknown people who didn't go anywhere, like Jerry Seinfeld, Harry Anderson. There's about 4 or 5 people who I beat. Actually, I won that year, again, 1981. And one of the judges in New York City was a producer for a Broadway show called Sugar Babies. And that was like a variety show. And he put me in the show. So I was basically in New York for the first 3 days of my life, and I landed a Broadway role.
Wow, that's tremendous.
And I kept reminding myself, it's never going to be this easy again. and then I toured with the show. So Sugar Babies did about a 2-3 year tour, and then I went on to I got an agent, a manager, and they put me on the Follies Bergère in Las Vegas. And again, I basically had to do 2 15-minute spots a night, and basically the rest of my day and my time was my own. So
wow.
So and then it got complicated. I got married. That sort of ruined everything. But on our honeymoon in England, there was a British producer who knew of me and said, "I don't interrupt your honeymoon, but could you come and have a visit with me and take a meeting?" I took a meeting, and next thing you know, I get a TV series in England.
Please welcome your host, Ron Lucas. Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome, everybody. Hee-haw, Pilgrim. Have we got a rootin', tootin', gun shootin', bronco bustin', cactus kicking hoedown of the show for you tonight? Yes, sir, Pilgrim. Yes, sir, Pilgrim. Yes.
So that was at the latter part of the 80s, and that's where I first started doing shows for people like, I did a show for the Queen of England, a televised gala variety fundraiser for Her Majesty. And once you do something like that, suddenly every royal and president kind of wants you to come and do a free show. So I did fundraisers and galas for every waking president except George Bush Sr., I think. I think it was, well, he was the one who kept saying, read my lips. And I guess me being a ventriloquist was just not compatible. And I've done shows for actually, I've done shows for him before he passed on. Jimmy Carter for Habitat for Humanity, Gerald Ford, several shows for President Bush. I did not do any shows for President Obama. Wanted to, that just didn't happen. And I actually did shows for President Trump, but he wasn't at that time president. He was a failing casino owner.
Right.
So I was part of a variety show at Trump Plaza back around, I guess, about 10 years ago. And he came in at Christmas time and loved the show. And then shortly between Christmas and New Year's, shut down the show and the showroom and shut down the hotel. And they're going to blow it up soon.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay.
So that's been interesting.
I bet.
I've closed some really big properties. Somewhere in there between 2000 and 2010, I had a show in Las Vegas at the Rio, and it was an afternoon show. And people said, "Well, why would you want to do an afternoon show?" And I said, "I really don't, but I'm hoping to stair step into a night show." And then I started drawing like crazy.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, the casino was not going to let me have a night show because they wanted an afternoon show that would draw that well.
Oh, right. You're, a victim of your own success there. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh,
and then also, I mean, I wasn't making the money that I wanted, but I wasn't suffering. I was doing pretty good. And then it hit me. I'd go to work at noon and come home at 6. I only had one afternoon show to do at 3 o'clock. And then I'd sign autographs and sell merchandise for almost 3 hours after the show. And I was busy about 6 hours a day. And then I went to dinner and movies and saw other shows. And for the first time in my career, I had a day job. The stupidest thing I did was I let that go. I should have stayed with that. Of course, nobody in Vegas is working now anyway.
Sort of was where I was thinking. Like it's I mean, the next thing is I know it's been tough over there.
But in March of last year, I was working on a cruise ship. I was working on the biggest cruise ship that Royal Caribbean has. And they announced to us that they were sending us home on March 15th. And I came home, and I've been home ever since.
Yeah, I want to say that was the final day. I mean, I don't typically work in the Website Depot office, but I feel like that was the same day that everyone that works in the office was sent home here as well. And I think that was a day when this thing became very, very real for, most people. I feel that's when a lot of companies sent people home. And I certainly know folks had some rough times on the cruise ships. Well, we've gotten through the unpleasantness of the recent past. What are you looking at in the future? How do you think things are going to progress or change or on the horizon, that kind of thing?
I keep watching. I mean, Royal Caribbean wants to use me, and I work for other cruise lines occasionally too, but they are still not sure when they're going to sail again.
Oh, okay.
So I keep getting notifications. Some cruise lines keep announcing they're going to sail soon, and then it never happens. So I think what's going to happen, even with CDC guidelines, that everybody's going to have to be vaccinated, including all the crew. It's got to be proven that that's happening. I think probably although nobody really understands the term, including me, I think once herd immunity kicks in, I think we'll all start to get back to some semblance of normal. I just want to do it while I'm still young enough to be performing.
I hear you. Have you gotten any of the vaccine yet? Do you know anyone that has? I mean, we all know. I know a few spattering of folks.
Well,
myself.
I turned 65, so yes, I did.
Oh, good! Wow, that's great.
I got the first shot.
Okay.
And my wife was in the car with me. We went to Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles.
Dodger Stadium, yeah.
Waited 3 hours, which really wasn't horrible.
Not at all.
It was, the line was moving. We had a good radio, and about every 200 or 300 yards there was a Sano can. So in case you had to get out and pee, there was a place to go.
Good.
So the line snaked around, and we finally got our shots. In fact, Mary didn't quite qualify. She's 64 and a half.
Oh, geez.
But as the guy was walking away from me, she said, "Ask him." And I said, "I can't. I mean, I filled out stuff on the internet, and I had a little ID number and everything else." And she just screamed, "Hey, you!" And he came back, and she goes, "I'm 64 and a half. here's my shoulder. And he goes, oh, just wait a moment, lady. And he gave her a shot.
Oh, that's great. It's good to hear a nice story about the vaccinations working out like that.
So we're waiting for the second. This was the Moderna. So there's a second one due on February 20th. And every time I keep checking online, they keep saying, you will be notified. So we're waiting.
Oh, geez. Well, yeah, I mean, that's all, I typically ask folks on here. Is there anything else that you wanted to say to the people? Is there anything else you wanted to get out there? I mean, it's you're a very unique guest on the thing here. So I feel obligated to give you a bit more leeway. Is there something else that you'd like to discuss? I mean, those were my questions.
Those are great questions. I wish I had answers. I really do. So why don't you give me something to think about, and we'll do it on the next audio blog or
absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
is this a video blog? What is this? What does this consist of? What are we actually doing right now?
Speaking of excellent questions, Ron, I wish I could answer that too. No, these are we do these website. I and the editing team here at Website Depot do these podcasts to highlight various clients that want to do it, that want to have another venue with which to get themselves out there, their businesses, what they do, reach new people. And I guess on that, to answer your query there about what to talk about the next time or something to think about, it's just really what kind of message you want to get out there. If it's teaching people a bit about ventriloquism, if it's to let them in on things you're working on now or in the future, if it's to highlight some other aspect of your past or career, or none of those things, or something else that feels more organic to you. Those are just things off the top of my head.
Greg, for years, I've been writing 2 books of ventriloquist. Well, actually, I have 2 books out there. So if you go to Amazon and Google my name, Ronn, 2 N's, Lucas, and ventriloquism, there's 2 books that will come up on Amazon. So I've got 2 books in print. But one of the books I was writing was ventriloquism: how your mental illness can earn you really big bucks. Cashing in on your issues, which goes back to the idea that you do a lot of these things for rehab people. And I have my friends who said that that's politically incorrect. So I got to sort of walk away from that, I guess. But my new business card says ventriloquism, a dying art, and I'm helping to kill it.
That's good. That's good. Well, that's perfect. If there's nothing else, we got plenty out of this. Thanks for coming on, Ron. My
pleasure.
I say this a lot, but this time I mean it the most. We'd love to have you again. I'm not sure why I went to we there. It's me on the other side of this, but on behalf of Website Depot, my name is Greg Benevent. Take it easy. Have a good night.
George, say goodbye. It's scary. Well, maybe it's scary for people, but you live in a magic make-believe place and you can come back another show. I promise you that, so go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, folks, it's been fun, so... Good. Bye. Thank you. We want you to come back next week for another show. Until then, take care, take it easy, and if it's easy, take it twice. See you later. Bye-bye.